If you're new here, what's up? I'm Jacob. I realized not a lot of you know my fitness journey story, so I thought I'd touch on it really quickly. About 10 years ago, life was really chaotic for me actually. I just come out of a 3-year relationship that turned pretty toxic and abusive towards the end, and it had a heavy impact on my family, led to me changing schools multiple times, and even ended with me being sent off and left in the motherland, which is kind of funny now considering that it's a classic ethnic parent threat that actually came true. Life was a lot calmer after that period ended, but I was still a hurt, skinny, broke, lanky teen in my final year of high school. One day, I walked past a local outdoor gym with 3 pull-up bars at different heights and a set of parallel bars. If you're a Sydney local, this was Gore Hill Oval in St. Leonard's. Every now and then, either on my way home from school or during my McDonald's lunch breaks, I'd sneak in some sets of pull-ups and dips, and it helped me feel better and slowly rebuilt my confidence. I don't remember ever struggling with pull-ups or dips, so I think I had a high strength to weight ratio to begin with already, which helps, and that might have been due to doing a lot of sports growing up. But eventually I was cranking out 6 supersets of pull-ups and dips, 12 reps each in under 20 minutes. But back then my training was all over the place, purely on a when I feel like it basis. I didn't really have a training split. After graduating from high school, I moved interstate to study at a university in a city called Canberra. Coming from Sydney, Canberra felt really slow, but that stillness gave me space to reflect, to grow, and to lean into something I hadn't experienced before, being alone and actually enjoying it. I was studying full time and working 2 jobs just to cover bills, but in between I'd go for walks to explore my new neighborhood. One day, on one of my walks, 5 minutes down from my dorm, hidden between the trees, I stumbled on an outdoor gym, but bigger and better than the one back home. That place became my sanctuary. There were so many days where I'd disappear for up to 3 hours without music, training under the sun or moon, in the rain, in the freezing cold. In summer, the bars would blister my hands, and in winter, they'd go completely numb, and I loved it. I even met Dan, who was further along in his calisthenics journey and had a bodybuilding background. We became training partners, pushing each other, while I mostly learned from him. There weren't any training apps that existed back then, so to track our sets, we would grab some twigs and sticks and align them as tallies on the floor.
There was one time I actually showed up to the bars ready to trade another session with Dan, and then he points to the floor, and on the floor I see this massive, solid, rugged block of cement that he dug up out of the ground, and right in the middle of this block you could see this hollow cylinder, and it was basically one of those blocks that holds posts and signs into the floor to stop them from moving. We got Dan's weighted belt, looped it through that cylindrical hole, and used it as additional weight to our body weight movements. I remember it was actually quite uncomfortable to use, but you just push through. It wasn't smooth like the weight plates at the gym. It was really sharp and rugged, so it would scratch the inside of your legs when you're doing your set. We didn't really know how much it actually weighed, but if I were to guess at the top of my head, it probably was about 30 to 40 kilos.
That's a really random and distinct memory that I have. That's where my calisthenics journey really began, and it's where the values that I live and train by today were born. Since then, I've won all 3 Australian calisthenics comps that I've competed in. I also became a personal trainer to help others build the skills and physiques that they dream of, and I specialize in calisthenics. I started this YouTube channel to document the journey and cut through the noise of the fitness industry telling that you need this, need that. I'm here to show you a different way, a stripped back and almost primitive approach. No weights, no enhancements, no supplements, no BS. Just minimal, raw and real. If that sounds like something you're into, welcome to the squad. It's been 3 weeks since I challenged myself to achieve 10% body fat, and here's how it's gone so far. From the back end of week 2 and all of week 3 of my challenge, we had close friends from Sydney stay with us, so of course we wanted to show them a good time in London. That meant I temporarily paused my challenge when it comes to nutrition. Everything else, like the amount of sleep, my hydration, and of course my training, stayed the same. And that surprisingly reflected in my body fat percentage too. I honestly thought my results would have taken a big hit due to loose nutrition, but here are my results. In terms of my training, I started running throughout the week. Just short 1 kilometer runs, nothing crazy, just around the block. I actually did this as preparation for one of my calisthenics comps where I was extremely lean. If you watched my previous video, you would have also seen that I tried a sprinting session. I ran a lot growing up, but I haven't in ages, and I almost injured my hamstring in that session. Thankfully, it was only a minor pull that lasted a few days, but it was a good reminder for how fragile our bodies can be. In terms of my upper body sessions this week, the only thing that really changed was the environment that I trained. As I mentioned before, we had friends staying with us, and so I didn't disrupt them. I trained outdoors instead of my usual doorway setup at home. Walking to the park actually helped me get my steps in, but also reminded me of how much I love training outdoors. In terms of my nutrition, I swapped Trek bars for Cereal high protein cereal. I'll probably show you what this looks like in a separate video, but it is cheaper per 100 grams. In terms of the proteins, carbs, fats, and fiber, they're all way better per 100 grams as well. So for me, it was a no-brainer. The only thing is I have to be a bit more sensible and controlled with my portions, because obviously with the Trek bar, the portions are already set out for you. Luckily, Helena bought a really nice, clean, chic food scale, so I've been using that to weigh out my portions. I don't know if this is TMI, but on Wednesday I got the runs, and I think it's due to having 2 iced chai lattes at work. The next morning I weighed in at 69.75 and at 13.4% body fat. I have not clocked under 70 kilos in months. Of course, while these results seem good, I expected it was mainly due to losing so much water weight. In terms of next week's expectations, I'm going to add some short runs to see how it affects my metrics.
Because I'm already 3 weeks deep and I'm not really seeing too much progress with my body fat percentage, I'm gonna have to be a bit more strict with a few things. So with my nutrition, I'm gonna opt for cleaner foods, mostly made from home. In terms of my hydration, I'm gonna be really strict and try to increase from 2 liters a day to 3 liters.
And with my daily activity, I'm gonna focus on long, slow paced walks, because activities with low intensity and long duration are where your body utilizes fat as a fuel source. Now, before I dive into some questions that you asked me, I'm gonna ask you guys to comment your answer, your response to my question, which is, if you were limited to only 10 exercises for the rest of your life, what would they be and why? It's time to answer the questions that you guys have been asking me through my comments and DMs. While watching, if you think up some more, feel free to comment them below. There were more questions than I have footage to answer over, so if yours doesn't get answered, don't worry, I'll cover it in the next episode. How to start calisthenics. What is the process, and is it different for women? In my opinion, yes, it is different. I've coached many women to achieve their first ever push-up, dip, or pull-up, and honestly, it's even more rewarding than coaching men because of the extra layers involved. For most women, it can take slightly longer to achieve certain skills, and that's completely fine. Calisthenics is bodyweight based, so strength to weight ratio plays a big role. Women naturally carry more essential body fat, which can make movements like pull-ups more demanding in the early stages. They also tend to have less upper body muscle mass, so building the strength needed for upper body skills takes a bit more time and a more targeted approach. Progress might feel slower at times, but that doesn't make it any less valid or impressive. Women's hormones fluctuate across their cycle, which can impact energy, strength, and recovery, and this varies a lot from person to person. With men, our hormones are relatively stable, so there are fewer variables influencing how a session might feel. If you're a woman starting calisthenics or looking to start, don't constantly switch your workouts based on how you feel. Instead, you can use something called reactive deloading. On tougher days, take longer rest times or drop a set or two. If performance dips, it's okay. Just reflect on why the same way you would after a bad night's sleep. And secondly, rather than chasing multiple skills at once, pick one goal and progress towards it weekly, no matter how small the steps. Granular progress is still progress, and it all adds up at the end of the day. I'll be doing a 30-day 1,000 push-up challenge twice a day, using different variations plus weights with no days off. I'm currently on day 23. Why does it seem like my muscles are not growing and actually starting to shrink? Would appreciate the response, bro. I responded to this comment already, but I thought I'd share it for anyone else in a similar boat since I know daily challenges are really popular. Here are a few general things that I recommend addressing with this challenge specifically, but also things you can control that you might need to consider. Specifically with push-ups, they do target certain muscle groups. You might see some growth in your chest, maybe triceps and shoulders, and maybe abs, but that's about it. To see balanced progress in your physique, you need to train exercises where other muscles are the primary mover or the target muscle. If you're only doing push-ups, you're leaving other muscles behind, and that might be why you feel like you're shrinking. You create micro tears in muscle fibers when you train progressively, but your body builds when you rest. Doing a daily challenge like this can actually hinder your body from recovering sufficiently and growing through rest. Another thing to address is, if you can do something every day, you're probably not training close enough to failure to elicit hypertrophy. You're better off training less frequently but to a higher degree of intensity within a given set. Use progressive overload to force your body to grow over time. You also might not be fueling your body with enough nutrients or calories to sufficiently and effectively produce hypertrophy. Ultimately, your body is a result of what you do. If you're doing the same amount of push-ups each day, you'll likely look relatively similar over time because the stimulus is the same. In my opinion, a better approach to this is to stop this daily thing and choose a variation of the movement that makes you fail within the 8 to 12 rep range each set. As I said, you need to create a stimulus that forces your body to grow.
Performing exercises that you can do for days will probably stimulate little to no hypertrophy. Also, take rest days to allow your body to recover.
Leave other days to train other muscle groups, and you'll see even more progress in your physique than doing daily challenges. What do you do for arms? The workout that you're watching right now is the exact workout that I do. I don't do anything else for upper body. I focus on intentional exercise selection and focused execution. Arms have always been one of my weak points due to calisthenics having a heavy focus on torso muscles. So in this workout, I perform sets specifically focused on building my arms, like chin-ups for biceps and the second block of dips with a tricep focus. I also note these things in my program to remind me of what I should be prioritizing in that particular set and movement. Dude, where's that park? Good as. These wooden calisthenics parks are all over London. I've been meaning to start up calisthenics link-ups again like I did years ago in Sydney for those based in London who want to train and grow together on a regular basis. I'm also working on building a group chat so that we can stay connected with each other online and so that we can keep the momentum going in our daily lives. And also for those who want to join but aren't based in London. So if this is something you're interested in, comment below so I know. I'm sure if you just Google calisthenics bars near me in London, you're going to find one of these bars sooner or later. And I love the fact that each and every park setup is unique. If only one exercise, which one? That's a good question. Honestly, if I was to boil it down to one exercise, I'd probably have to choose the muscle up, mainly because it is a pulling movement and a pushing movement combined. You can also perform them on a bar or rings for variation and to stimulate both type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. Also, doing a muscle up to me is just pure fun. Huge back, bruh.
Do you do weighted calisthenics as well?
If you do, I'm curious how many sets you do and with how much extra weight in kilograms. Appreciate it, man. I think I've been really noticing the growth in my back recently, but I just train with body weight and I have been for the past year or probably more when it comes to my upper body, probably the past 2 years. What do you think of the 2-set method? I can see why it works, especially from a mindset and intent point of view. Like if you got 2 sets, you might be more likely to give them your full effort compared to pacing through 5 sets. That said, I probably wouldn't recommend it for beginners or those in the skill building phase. More volume is key in the early stages to reinforce movement patterns and build neural pathways. Research also tells us that everyone responds differently to training stimulus. Some people's bodies respond really well to low volume, whereas others respond well to high volume. Even within the same person, different muscle groups might respond differently. Ultimately, while there are always new training methods floating around online, the best method is the one that you actually stick to consistently. Like I always say, you can have the perfect plan on paper, but if you don't stick to it, it's useless. What are the things that are actually overrated for building muscle? Look, I'm not going to demonize certain things like, I don't know, supplements or using weights, because for a lot of people, it actually works and helps them. But I'd actually say that an overrated thing for building muscle is the mindset that you need a lot of things. Honestly, muscle building is so simple, and in hope to optimize it, we actually overcomplicate it. If you think about it, your body is a result of what you do. It's an adaptation. It adapts to make sure that you don't struggle in your daily activities or what you do on a regular basis. Honestly, if you just get a program that stimulates your body and your muscles in a balanced way, progressively challenge yourself over time so that it forces your body and muscles to adapt and adequately recover from session to session, honestly, that's really all you need. Ever since I made that mindset shift to really simplify and focus on the essentials, I've achieved the best physique I've ever had. I'm the strongest I've ever been in all of my movements, and I'm doing it in a way where I can genuinely enjoy my life. What are the most important exercises that you would suggest to unlock the one-arm pull-up? There are multiple ways you can go about it. For example, the most common way is for people to go through the progressions or do weighted calisthenics. For me personally, I never did any of the progressions to unlock the one-arm pull-up. The strength came as a byproduct of training for endurance competitions that require me to do as many reps as possible of the pull-ups, muscle-ups, dips, and so on. And in my workouts preparing for this comp, I never did any more than 12 pull-ups per set. Even now, I don't train any specific one-arm pull-up progressions, but I do a whole lot of pull-ups and I'm extremely comfortable with the movement pattern, which then translates to the one-arm pull-up itself. So many people rush into one-arm pull-up progressions but can't even do 20 strict pull-ups and full range of motion pull-ups for reps and sets yet. If I were to recommend anything, it would be to start with that. When it comes to calisthenics skills, there are strength and conditioning prerequisites to not only achieve the desired skill, but to progress once unlocking it. That's why so many people plateau once they achieve the goal skill, because they don't have the capacity built from the foundations required to progress. I think the closest progression that actually feels like the one-arm pull-up is the assisted one-arm pull-up. And how to do that is you basically use one arm to pull yourself, and with the other arm, you're only holding onto the bar using certain fingers. So as you progress, you can decrease the amount of fingers that are supporting you on the other hand until you don't need the other hand anymore. I'm actually really excited that you came across this page. And and I don't think it was by any coincidence. Join me and a whole bunch of other athletes on my journey by subscribing to this channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.